Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Milos' story. Now, we're picking up right where we left off in the afternoon of a Friday, as you and Dato, Princess Dato, head out onto the town of Farum. So
Yes,
as you
having
two
experienced
leave,
grass for the first time, she is now going to experience town. So this is going to
yes.
be exciting.
So, you leave the gates of the Merryguard Academy out into the main stretch of Farum. The Academy Road lies ahead of you. On your right-hand side, you see the Merry Guard, as always, along with a number of other businesses, including the Physicers and the Cobblers, etc., etc. What do you do?
Um, I think that my first stop is going to be to try to locate a place to shop for like ordinary
Clothes.
clothes.
That's a good call. Okay.
Because right now she's just wearing my derpy black tunic over her very shiny dress.
Okay. One second.
Just gonna Milos casually checking his money pouch to see how much money he has. Okay, he's good.
Okay. As you head down the main stretch of Farum, I needed to check my notes to remember where the heck the tailor shop was. It's actually not far at all. Close enough that you don't need a random encounter.
Oh, okay, cool.
It is right here. It is simply
Aha!
called Farum Apparel. And as you
Right there on the tin. Okay.
right on the box, it is what it says. It is basically it's not it's nothing secondhand. It's like things are made there, but it's all basic clothing, traveling clothes, nothing, no finery. It is a simple looking building, wood painted. It blends in well with the rest of Farum and the seafaring town aesthetic. A large pane glass window on the front shows various dresses and clothes and leggings and those sorts of things. And as you go in, and Dato follows you, her eyes are wide, and she says in Dwarvish, because she still doesn't really speak Common, and you don't speak Primordial.
Yep.
This is. I've never seen anything like this. Anybody
Well,
can
if
come here and just get clothes?
they've got money, which I do. I know you don't have anything. But he pauses for a moment and then he sort of digs around in his money pouch and he pulls out 5 gold pieces.
She looks at you and she says, Uncle did give me something. Uh,
Oh,
and she reaches into a hidden pocket on the. Like, she has to pull up the shirt that you've
yeah,
given
she's
her
got
to
to
go
pull up.
into
Yeah.
the dress, and she pulls out a hand and she holds it out to you. And you see in her hand, in the palm of her hand, are 3 brilliant, gleaming gemstones. They look like rubies, except they swirl in the middle.
Milos kind of goes like this. He sort of ducks his head, it kind of rubs in his eyebrows with his thumbs. He says, "You could
Is
probably buy
is
this
this
entire
not
shop.
money?
It
Oh,
is, it's just a lot. The wealth of the Earth plane is going to be worth so much more here.
oh,
Um, it's just I don't actually know that much about economies. Um, like my father was in trade, so I know a little. But I'm gonna give you this money, um, and we can figure out. You can figure out paying me back when you've turned that
well, I could
into.
just give you one of these then. And she holds out one of the gemstones to you.
It's so much. You can set yourself up for so much more than just trust me. I don't need that much. You
She
can pay me
frowns as
back.
she looks at you, and she says, "But you've saved me from."
Milos, look, I I did, um, but I don't. Someone else. The coin for that wasn't coin, and it doesn't need to be.
I don't understand.
I just. I don't feel like I can accept that level of reward for doing what I would have done. It seems vastly unfair.
Dato looks at you with a frown. She kind of closes her hand around the gemstone, and she says, "Okay, well, you don't know how much what you did meant to me, so."
How about we just don't call it an obligation at all right? We can call it friendship, if that's okay with you.
But I'm trying to thank you, and you won't accept it.
I accept your thanks. I just don't want your debt.
I'm not trying. There's no. Where I'm from, you thank someone by showing them worth.
I appreciate it. I just don't want you to give me. He kind of slows down and he kind of rubs at his head and he says, I don't want to offend you by refusing your gift. I feel like I would have tried to give you freedom for nothing because you needed it.
Well, I think I understand that. Is there a place we can go where I can change these into a currency we can use?
Yes, almost certainly. He kind of looks. I haven't actually been there, but I bet we can find it.
She nods and she puts them away.
All right.
You will allow me to thank you properly soon, Milos Orthandri. As a princess, I demand that.
But you didn't want to be a princess anymore.
Well, I don't. But the title only just went away, so I'm still going to use it.
All right. Let's do some shopping, and then we'll find an exchanger or a merchant, or we'll figure it out.
She nods, and she follows you into the store.
Okay.
As you enter the tailor shop, a cheerful-looking elven woman with long, silvery gray hair is what looks like sorting as she's sifting through all these bolts of linen on the back of the store. And she says, "Hello, just a minute. I'll be with you in just a moment." And you can hear almost the sound of bolts falling from her hands. After she seems to get a hold on them again, she comes around and looks and says, "Hello, welcome to Ferrum Apparel. How can I help you?"
We are looking for some. He looks at Dato and he says, "Some sensible clothing."
The elven woman looks at Dato, and she says, "Oh, that's suitable enough. It's easy to do. What sort of clothes are we looking for? The sort to go out on the road? Or maybe just to dinner? Or just everyday wear?"
Let's start with everyday wear. We just something that you could just go about in.
And so the elven woman nods and says, "What sort of colors do you like, darling?" And she's looking at Dato, who is looking around the store and doesn't speak common. So Dato does
Right.
not react.
Um, Milos turns back to Dato. Sorry, I forgot for a second there that there was a language barrier, and that Milos actually has a role here as translator. Um, Milos says in Dwarvish, she'd like to know what colors you're interested in wearing.
She stops looking around and she says, "Oh, I like violet."
All right, purple, violet, good.
The elf nods, and over the next maybe 20 minutes, you are pulled throughout the store, acting as translator as Dato and this shopkeeper go over what it is that she likes to wear. And garments are offered, and after the 20 minutes are passed, Dato is in the back trying on garments, and the elven woman looks at you and she says, "I've never seen someone who looked quite like that."
Yeah, she's new in town.
No, I mean in my life, I've never seen anyone that has lava-colored hair and eyes of magma. Who
Yeah.
who is
New
she?
in plane, new on plane.
Oh, an outworlder. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Well,
Just
I
arrived.
well, I'll tell you what. The first few garments she selects are on the house, just for the joy of handling such an exotic customer, and I hope she comes back.
That's very kind of you. I thanks.
I'm Tilly. What's your name?
I'm Milos.
Well, welcome to my shop. I'm so pleased to see you here.
Thanks. I've just been wearing Marigard clothes, so I've been remiss in not shopping for myself. But
Can I interest you in perhaps something more comfortable?
sure, why not? I mean, we're here.
Take a look around. I'll offer a discount.
Thanks. And Milos will sort of poke around the shop until he locates. He's probably just gonna buy more black clothes. Uh,
Okay.
like
It
he's
is of nice quality, at least.
he'll get like some black and gray so that he can do a two-toned thing the next time that he goes out.
When he's not in.
When he's not in gear, like
Yeah.
when he goes civilian like, and he'll buy just like, something nice adjacent, not too
Sure.
expensive, but like,
With her discount, it only costs about a gold, 5 silver.
okay, I'll knock that off me.
And Dato emerges, no longer dressed in the insanely valuable mithril linen dress, and instead is wearing a fairly form-fitting but comfortable violet tunic with black leggings and what look like comfortable but very sensible tall boots. And as she emerges, she looks around and she says, in Dwarvish, "These feel fantastic. I like these. What do you think?"
I think you look gorgeous.
She beams at you and she says, "How much are they?" And she is holding like several other sets of clothing, but she asks the price.
Milos glances back at Tilly, and then he says to Dato that the shopkeeper, Ms. Tilly, said that the first couple of outfits here for you would be on the house because she's never met someone from your plane before.
You see, at first, Dato's brows furrow as she thinks about it, and she says, with her eyebrows raising, she says, "This is a very strange place."
Milos just starts to laugh. And no one will take your money. We clearly don't know how trade works here in
Clearly
Farum.
not. If my father heard about this, he would go crashing down in the markets. Well, good thing we're not there. And she begins looking around at the shelves and she says, "Well, I'm going to pick something else out then." And she begins marching around. It's clear Dato's having a good time.
Milos finds her enthusiasm delightful to watch, and he tells Tilly, "Careful, well, we might end up clearing you out at this rate."
Tilly chuckles and says, "I did just say the first few sets, not everything.
Yes, that's good.
I do need to make a profit at the end of the day."
Absolutely.
It's another maybe 15 minutes as Dato, now knowing roughly her own measurements from the garments she's already chosen, it's a bit of a hurricane. One of the things that she selects is a large, but well-made looking leather backpack.
Oh,
Yeah.
gonna need that. She buying all this stuff.
She has all of the things that she's chosen kind of hanging out of the backpack, and at the end of it she comes up and holds out the backpack, and in Dwarvish she says, "How about these?" And the shopkeeper says, "I really don't... What language is she speaking? I don't..."
Dwarven.
Oh,
It was the only tongue we had in common. Because she doesn't...
she truly is an
common.
outwielder. Alright. I assume these are what she wants?
Yes.
Alright, let's go take a look and ring them up. And as she pulls them out and begins to look, as I agreed, the discount, in total, it's about 8 gold for all of the clothes that she's taken. And that's about half of the price of what it would actually be.
Right. Okay, so Milos will lay out the 8 gold with the promise that they are going to a money changer's or a trade, like a tradesman, to try to sort it out. So he'll just pay for it out of his pouch with the promise to Dato that she can pay for her own stuff when they get to the right place.
As they are leaving, well, as you two are leaving, Dato does set a hand on your shoulder, and she says, "I realize you don't want, my, well, what I have for coin, but there is something that I really wish you would do for me as a favor.
I'm listening.
I really don't want this." And she reaches into the bag and is holding up a handful of the mithril dress. "Will you accept this as a gift, if also for my sake, so I don't ever have to look at it again?"
Milos unslings his backpack because he had taken it. I'm sure he put his own new clothes in his backpack.
Yeah.
He says, "I will take it. I want you to know, though, that it is an incredible amount of wealth."
I don't care. I don't want anything to do with it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And she holds it out to you.
Milos will take the dress, and he knows that she hates it. Like, he recognizes that this is the symbol of her, basically, imprisonment.
Yeah.
But he still takes it with the reverence that someone who spent most of his life looking for mithril veins is going to take something like this. And he sort of folds it up and he puts it in his backpack. And he's like, "Oh, God, it's all right." I thought of something really funny to do with that.
What's that?
I think you and I are going to stop at the post office.
Okay.
And I'm going to send it to my mother.
Oh. If she would like it.
I think it might... I have to be careful that it won't actually give her a heart attack. But you have to understand, my mother is a supervisor at the mine in my home, and we spent most of my life trying to find veins of mithril in the rock.
Well, why was it so hard to find? It's just... you can just touch it. It's on the edges.
It's not. It's so hard. The veins are tremendously difficult to locate. There's not that many of them. They're very deep in the mountain, and they're hidden amidst the other ores. This is why...
As you're explaining it, you see some comprehension
This
on
is
your
why
face.
the wealth of your plane is so far beyond anything that we have. I mean, the wood surprised you, right? But
Yes.
wood is cheap here.
It's immensely valuable where I'm from, so I guess... I think I understand.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna do that. And it's gonna more than pay her back for what she spent getting my passage here. So
Oh, well, I'm glad I can help then. And she
what goes around
smiles
comes around,
brightly.
I guess. Yes, thanks, Dato. And she's never gonna believe me where it came from. Anyway, but first,
You are a very nice man.
you're very nice too.
You don't really know me yet.
You've been pretty nice for the past hour.
Maybe it was all a show.
Well, maybe mine's all a show. You don't know.
That you're
I
full
could
of
be-
you are so full of bullet crap. You wouldn't even
Nonsense. Yeah, you're right. All right, let's try to find. I'm gonna look for a money changer or a somebody who trades in gemstones, either a money changer or a jeweler. Investigation or
Okay. Yeah, roll me. You can either ask around or you can search for it yourself.
I think that Milos's first instinct would be to ask around.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
it's still an investigation.
No.
I don't know.
To ask
No, it's
around,
not.
it's a persuasion check.
Okay. Well, that's garbage. I guess Milos just asks random people and no one knows
Yeah.
what he's talking about.
No one really. So you start asking around, and no, you're not like getting anybody's real attention. For the most part, people are just like, like they're doing their own thing.
All right, fine. I'm gonna start looking at roads. I mean, I've walked around Ferrum enough to at least
have
what neighborhood to head towards. So I'm gonna do an investigation check.
Go ahead and
before
roll
that.
investigation. Yeah.
Okay, that's a little better.
Okay. Yeah. With a 15. As you head farther in, you remember seeing businesses that would align, like the quieter section of the market, where a jeweler might be among the artisans and that sort of thing. As you're heading through, I need you to roll me a d8. There is no random encounter as you head through the Ferrum markets. And you find a jeweler known as the Crystal Sea's Bounty.
Okay.
It is a very attractive building. It is made of stone, which is fairly rare here in Ferrum. It is this structure here. So you make your way through. And finally, as you arrive at the Crystal Sea's Bounty, you are greeted by a counter, a very wide, round counter that is in the middle of the store, are all sorts of examples of chains and bracelets and bands, but there's no actual gemstones in the middle of the floor. It's all settings that are made of platinum and silver and gold, and still very much valuable, but the gemstones are not out in the open.
Where people could rob them easily. Yeah, got it.
They have dealt with adventurers before, it seems. The wide counter is...
Fucking Beauregard always turning up rogues try to practice.
For real.
And they're like, fuck
Exactly.
off.
Exactly. The counter is manned by, it looks like 2 gnomes, a halfling, and a dwarf. And each of them are at different sections, and all of them are working. They have loops that they are inspecting different stones with. One of them is repairing what looks like a watch. The dwarf looks up as you enter, and he says, "Hello, good morning. How can I help you?" Or rather, it's afternoon, isn't it? I can lose track of time around here.
Is it? Oh, shit, yeah.
Well, let me check.
Milos,
and he looks at the
Milos-
Pockywatch he was picking, and he says, "I don't know." And he puts it back down.
Milos says in Dwarvish, good afternoon.
Ah, a trader. Perfect.
Yes.
He says that in Dwarvish back.
But at
And
least
Dato
now
is now
everyone can-
keyed in and
Like,
knows what
hooray,
you're
she
saying.
can actually understand what's happening in the shop. And Milos will kind of gesture her forward, and he'll say, "We have some interesting stones that we'd like you to take a look at, see how much maybe they're worth."
Well, I'm happy to take a look. How many?
And Milos like looks at Dato like,
Dato
How many you got?
is looking at you, and she says, "Oh, me. 3. I have 3 of them." And the dwarf nods and says, "All right, let's take a look. What do you have?" And Dato will step up, and she opens her hand and places the 3 swirling red gemstones on the counter. The dwarven merchant's eyes widen.
Yeah, I feel like his reaction is probably very similar to Milos's. What the fuck? Just
He
like, oh my god.
he tentatively picks one up and holds the loop to it. And you hear him muttering under his breath, "No way." How did you come across these, out of curiosity? And Dato says, "They were a gift from my uncle, to set me up for a new life." And the dwarf says, "They certainly will do that. Okay.
Milos kind of.
One moment, please. I need to check the validity of these. My eye may be fooled. Do I have your permission to identify these gemstones?" And Dato blinks. What does that mean?
Wants to use a little magic to make sure that they aren't false stones because he's not sure that they're.
That's fine. That's fine. I doubt my uncle would give me false ones.
Your uncle is from the Earth plane, so he definitely had access to real stones.
The dwarf looks up and says, "You had permission to take these out of the plane of stone." All right, let me. And
Milos considers the word permission and kind of looks off into the middle distance and kind of sucks on his teeth and doesn't say anything.
You can't. So it seems as though you cannot easily take things out of the Earth plane.
Well, that has been apparent since
yes.
she had to be smuggled out.
As the dwarf picks up a wand from a drawer and focuses it on the stone. It takes like 10 minutes as he focuses it on this energy. And right before he begins, he does say, "This will take a minute. Would you like a cup of clava or something while you wait?"
Oh, that would be amazing. Thank you.
Hester, could you... Yes. And the halfling just kind of hops down, and she goes in the back and then comes back a moment later with 2 cups of clava as the dwarf is focusing on this ritual. And Dato looks down at it and she says, "What is clava?"
A drink. I realize that's the least helpful thing that I could possibly have said. It's good. Try it.
Should I expect spice or sweet, or is this just an experience I need to have?
You may just need to have it. Because anything that I could compare it to, I don't know that you would have tasted.
She takes a drink, and her eyes light up, and she says, "This is delicious."
It's it's great.
And she just...
I'd live on it if I could. Well, no, that would be a bad idea. But it's good.
As she drinks it, she is watching the dwarf work with a smile on her face.
Says too, just like savoring it as one does.
Yes. If you drink the whole cup of clava, you have advantage on your next initiative roll.
Yay!
For the next hour. Which
hopefully I won't need it, but
hopefully
if I do...
you won't. But random encounters can happen.
Yes.
The dwarf casts Identify as a ritual, and as he sets the wand down at the end, he nods. These are... Excuse me, that was the wrong voice. These are genuine bloodstones. They are exceedingly rare. Do you perhaps have a financial institution where you store your funds? And
we'll probably need to get one.
Dato raises an eyebrow and says, "What do you mean?"
It's called a bank.
Oh. Yes. Is there one here?
I'm sure there's a bank in town, and we can get you an account. I don't have one.
The dwarf says, "Well, if you don't have the means to store it in the meantime, I can offer you for the low price of 300 gold pieces, a bag of holding with which you can leave here with your funds and not attract the attention of the entire town. Because each of these bloodstones is worth 1,000 platinum.
Right, says Milos. It seems like that bag of holding might be a sensible investment, he says.
She says, I don't
Dato.
have 300 gold.
I'm sure you can take it out of the thousands of platinum.
Is platinum more than gold?
Yes, it's so, and he starts explaining the exchange
Okay.
rate. So,
And
this dwarf is standing there looking at us like, you don't know how money works.
It's a very interesting exchange to happen right in front of this dwarf, who has literally a fortune just sitting on the counter in front of him. She is like thinking as you're saying, and she says, "Okay, so these 3 stones. But the clothes we bought, they were how much?"
8 gold. So less than 1 platinum.
Okay.
But
She
like
seems to
8/10 of a platinum.
She seems to nod. She says, "All right. Sir, would you be willing to take the cost of one of those bags out of the value?" And the dwarf says, "Please call me Master Reimold, and yes, we can absolutely do that for you."
I would like to just insight the dwarf to make sure that she's not taking a bath on this.
Go
just
ahead.
in case. Oh, well, I don't know. My father would
An
die in
8?
shame.
With an 8, he seems to be straightforward and honest.
Yeah, seems fine. Yeah, this seems fine.
"I do have a question," the dwarf says. And Dato says, "Oh, anything. You're the one being business here." And the dwarf says, "Would you mind if we took your name down? As this is something here at the Crystal Seas Bounty we would love to have in all records." And the woman, Dato, just blinks and says, "Oh, sure, I guess." And the dwarf smiles, leaves the 3 stones on the counter, and goes in the back. And he's gone for like 15 minutes until finally he returns with a very nice looking black bag that has a very simple symbol on it that's in the shape of it's a wine glass with a coin inside of it. Why don't you roll me a religion check?
Mila says, "Not his dice are not being kind
You
right now."
don't recognize this as a holy symbol or anything like
Alright.
that. It's just
a
a
pretty
neat
design.
symbol. Yes.
Neat.
He says, "When you open this bag and you need currency, you think about how much you need, and it will be available to you. You can also tell how much is in the bag simply by thinking about it." And he sets the bag on the counter, puts down a sheet of parchment that is basically a receipt, but it is signed by 5 individuals, and then there is an open slot for Princess Dato to signature, and basically it's just saying, "I agree to have sold 3 genuine bloodstones of the weight 1.5 carat,
Right.
etc., etc., etc." Like, this is a thing that happened.
This is a serious transaction. This is not the kind of thing that you could just do over the counter without someone wanting something written down.
And Princess Dato looks at it, and you notice this contract is written in common.
Oh, Milos reads it to her. It like quickly spot translating.
Okay.
So that she could know what she's signing.
Princess Dato nods, and the dwarf says, "I'm sorry, do you not speak common?" And Dato, "I'm sorry, is that a problem?" And the dwarf says, "No, I guess I didn't expect that, is all.
So, she's like the Bloodstones she's from.
Oh, an actual Terran. Okay. That does clear up a few things. Well, I am very pleased that you have taken your Outworlder business here, to us, at the Crystal Seas Bounty. Honestly, thank you very much. Please just sign the contract, and then the gold is yours, and the Bloodstones are ours. And Dato smiles, signs the contract, and the dwarf says, be sure to check in the bag to ensure the amount is what you think. She picks up the bag, which only weighs 15 pounds, and she says, how could it have so much money in it?
You can put anything in it. Well, up to its capacity. It's a bag of holding. That means that it can contain whatever.
Remarkable. Okay. She reaches into the
Magic's
bag,
neat.
and she thinks about it, and immediately the top of the bag begins to overflow with platinum coins, and she says, no, no, and she starts trying to shove them back in. Okay, it's all there.
Oops.
She kind of pushes them all back into the bag and says, this has been a very educational experience, Master Reinhold. And the dwarf, who has now picked up each bloodstone and set them each into their own individual glass container that seals, he looks up and says, oh, it has been for us as well. Believe you me, we will never forget your visit. We have just the place for them, too. And as Dato is looking at you beaming, she says, feel how much is in there. She, holds the bag to you.
Milos will take the bag and, mentally try to check how much is in it.
There is 2,970 platinum in the bag, which is 300 gold shy because of the bag of holdings cost.
Right. But yeah. Whew.
And your hand is
Milos
densely packed in coin as you think about it.
And Milos is like, I have never held this much money in my life. And then he just hands it back to her.
She says, now what is a reasonable price for helping me?
You gave me the thing that you don't... You... How about you just give me the 8 gold back for the clothes and...
I'll round it up. And she gives you a platinum.
Okay. Milos will put the platinum in his pocket. Or his...
Look at that. You've accepted payment.
You gave me a gown worth some insane
amount. Yeah, but you're
amount.
sending that to your mother.
True.
And behind you, the dwarf has mounted the 3 bloodstones on the wall above the counter.
Being like, look at this shiny, shiny stuff we have.
They are beautiful, and as the light catches them, you notice that red, simmering light almost swirls around it as if you're looking at light being reflected off of water.
Nice.
And the dwarf looks up at it with a smile on his face and says, we're closing early today, gents. Everyone, go on home. And the gnomes and halfling look up and say, oh, all right, okay. And they all just begin packing up their things. A pleasant day to the 2 of you. We will never forget this here. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you. I don't think I'm going to forget it either. Let's, and then they'll just, Milos will just lead her out of the...
Yeah.
Of the jeweler shop. The Crystal Seas...
Bounty.
Well, we're spreading joy and laughter today, says Milos. I'd like to stop at the post office, and then I'm going to try to find the cart that sells ice cream.
Did you still want to find a bank?
Oh. Well, you have a bag of holding now, but it would probably be a good idea to...
Oh, do you think it's fine like this? And she's wearing it on the belt that she purchased.
I mean, someone could try to steal your bag of holding if they figure out it's a bag of holding.
Oh, that would be a bad idea.
Yeah, but why do you think so?
Well, because you're not supposed to steal. I would crush them.
Right, so how would you do that, exactly?
She looks at you and she says, I guess with magic.
So you do magic?
I don't really do it. I just think about it and it happens.
Milos kind of stands there for a second, trying to figure out, I guess, sorcery, maybe? Like, what? When you say you think about it and it happens, like, what do you do?
She blinks as you're out in the street now.
Yeah,
she
we're
looks
walking
at the
down
cobbled
the
street
this.
and she raises her hand, and a 5-foot cube of stone just up out of the ground. And then
Milos looks at it,
puts it back down, and it back into the earth. And many people on the street are completely startled by this.
Whoa, what?
A horse nearly spooks and runs off, and a guard just says, "Hey! What was that about?"
Sorry, little science experiment.
Keep it off the main street, please.
Yes, sir. Sorry about that, sir.
Dato says, "Is that any way for them? I'm not a princess. I am not a princess. I need to remember that. I can't just do... Can I not just do whatever I want?"
You can do whatever you want, but sometimes it's going to impact other people and they'll react.
Okay, I need to be careful. So I shouldn't just crush someone if they take my stuff.
Well, if they take your stuff, then they've done something to you and you're entitled to respond.
Oh, okay. I understand.
But if it's just... But you wouldn't just take that rock and hit a random person with it, because why?
Well, no, I would have the earth come up around them and squeeze them until they dropped my things.
Right. Right. So you got some... You pack a wallop.
Well, of course, there's no way you would know this. Of course. As a princess of the dynasty, it was important that I learn how to control the elemental magic that flows in my bloodline, as father would say.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I figured you would be able to take care of yourself in some way. I just didn't know what it would look like.
I am good at manipulating earth and stone, as you can see. And she
That's sort of what I could do, but not very much.
Oh?
Just the gifts of my patron, I can,
Oh, the Zaratan.
Yeah.
I heard about this. Uncle was very excited about it. He said...
Really?
Oh, yes, he said it was my key out. And
Well,
I guess he was right.
I guess it turned out to be. I mean, I could move the earth around a little bit. That's about all. In terms of... I'm very new at this.
She turns to you and she sets a hand on your shoulder and she says, "Milos, you have moved the world for me."
Well, I mean, I moved you into the world, from a world.
From my perspective, the whole world changed.
I guess that's true.
You said ice cream?
Right. Ice cream cart. There's a cart. I've seen it around, I think. Near the park. I think that's where And Milos is kind of mumbling to himself as he tries to remember where he saw the ice cream seller, like...
Okay.
And also, so we want to find a bank, and we want to find a post office, because we're fucking adulting all up in this bitch.
Yes, you are. You're doing errands. It's crazy. Alrighty then.
All right. Now I know where the post office is, because I've been there before. We have not tried to find a bank before. Where would a bank be?
They would actually be pretty close to where you are in this quiet district.
That makes sense. I guess I could investigation and look at signs and try to find a bank.
Go ahead and roll me investigation, yeah.
God damn it, Milos. He's very distracted right now.
With a 7, it takes a while. You kind of wander about for a little bit.
Basically, we're window shopping now, and we're looking at all of the shops as we pass them.
As you're walking, Dato is actually playing with the Jacob's Ladder. Just... yeah. Enjoying herself as you're out on a day in Ferrum in the afternoon. And with a 7, it takes you a while, but you do eventually find the Galicia Holdings Vault.
Alicia Holdings Vault.
Which is a bank. It is another stone building, similar to the jewelers, only these stones are immaculately carved to be perfectly square. And they appear to be sandstone, which makes them stand out remarkably here.
Yeah.
The lettering is kind of in black metal plating over the door. And as you enter, it's fairly busy in here. You do have to wait a little while before you are seen. But eventually, a teller, who is actually just a human, she looks at you and she says, "Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I've never seen you in here before. Are you a new
have
customer?"
never been here before. My friend here needs to open an account. She does not speak common. So I am
Oh, what
going,
language does she speak?
uh, we've been using Dwarvish.
Dwarvish is
She-
very common. In Dwarvish she says, "This is no trouble. You need to open an account." And Dato, suddenly alarmed that she's being spoken to in fluent Dwarvish, says, "Oh, yes. I've come across quite a bit of money from my uncle, and I need to store it somewhere safe." And the teller says, "You found no better place? All of our vaults are extra-dimensional, meaning any branch of the Galicia Holdings vault you can reach from anywhere around the world, so long as we have a building there."
Oh, that's
And,
neat. Says Milos,
Dato
who
says,
has never been in a bank before. I mean, he's probably been in a bank before,
Yeah.
but he hasn't had an account because
he hasn't needed one.
he's never had that much money.
Dato says to you, "What does extra-dimensional mean?"
Oh, so you know how you have that bag of holding that it's got like a little endless. So essentially what they have, it looks like any of their banks, their vault is like that bag of holding, and they can reach it from anywhere.
Oh. You're right, that is neat. And she steps up to the counter and she puts the bag of holding on the counter and looks at the teller. And the teller says, "Okay, how much are you trying to store, and what is your name so we can have an account name?" And Princess Dato says, "Dato." And the teller says, "I do require a surname." And Dato blinks.
What do you want your surname to be? I mean, you're starting a new life here.
So you don't think I should say of the Titanic Fold?
You can, but you're trying to separate yourself
You're
from
right.
that.
Yes. What's your last name?
Orthandry? That's just a
You see,
family
she
name,
thinks about it, and she says, "Offhander." And the teller blinks and says, "Okay, how do you spell that?" As she now has a form open. And in Dwarvish, Dato says, "DATOOFFHANDER." And the teller nods and says, "Okay, I just need a bit of you, so we can always recognize that it is you. Do you have a lock of your hair would be perfect, or maybe a bit of blood?" And Dato kind of
blinking, like, oh,
do you have a scissor or a knife?
I've got a knife.
That'll do. And she asks for it.
Proffers his dagger, like, here you go.
She reaches up and she slices off a lock of magma-looking black hair and holds it out. And the teller looks at it and says, "Oh, I thought this was some sort of illusion."
Yeah, is that gonna burn your hand? Like,
She doesn't seem to be burnt by it, but she does
Right, yeah.
wrap it up with form and then holds out the paper for Dato to sign, and she does. Your account is under the name 23I. Just make sure whenever you arrive at one of our branches, we're all over the world, you remember that account number. If you can't remember it, we'll need more of you to identify what is yours. Now, how much are you storing? And Dato kind of looks at the bag and then looks at you and says, how much should I not have on me? How much should I carry around?
I rarely have more than like 20 gold on me at any given time. But
Okay.
you could probably do. I don't know.
I would like to store 2,950 platinum. And the teller... Oh. Yes, that's doable. I assume all of it's in this pouch. And Dato says, well, there's 20 more in there that I'd like to keep. The teller nods, and an account is made for Dato as the teller collects the bag of holding. Basically, it's like a coin machine, just of coins falling out into a receptacle. And then she closes the receptacle, picks it up, locks it, and sets the bag back on the counter, and she says, there are 20 platinum remaining in your bag. And then she lifts this massive deposit box and marches off to the back of the vault.
We have banked.
Dato collects her pouch and the little form saying it's hers, and she slides that into her bag, and she says, well, that was boring, but exciting at the same time.
Yeah, my father used to go to the bank a fair amount because he was running a stall, so he never wanted to keep that much money on him, and I used to go with him sometimes, but it was never exciting.
That's fair. Do you think I could put, instead of wearing this backpack, could I put all this crap in this bag?
Absolutely.
It's not just for money, then. I can put anything in here.
You could put anything in there. Don't put anything alive in there. I don't think there's air in it. But
I don't think there's anything. And she opens the bag and looks in it.
There's anything alive in your backpack. I just meant you could put anything in there. It just the one thing you want to keep alive.
Fair. And she puts the whole bag into the bag of holding and says, "Oh, that's much easier." And she just hooks that on her belt again. Right, ice cream.
Right.
I've read about it. I'm really excited about this.
All right, we're gonna look for that. We're gonna try to find the ice cream man, the ice cream stall.
Okay, roll me investigation and a D8.
Investigation and a D8. Here is my investigation. Oh, that's much better.
That is as good as it can get, in fact.
Milos is so much more invested in ice cream than in the bank, apparently.
Turns out. Weird, right? And there is no random encounter.
Okay. They're erranding successfully.
You head your way up by the East Park, which is quite a ways from the bank. It's about a 15-minute walk.
Yeah, we're walking.
You up by the East Park, you do find the vendor that you remember seeing. It is... Well, roll me a perception check. Looks like a Dragonborn. A Dragonborn in a tall cloak behind a cart. The cart itself has a number of these metal dishes that are covered. And the cart, it almost radiates cold all around it. And as the Dragonborn stands behind it and you're approaching, there's a number of other customers that finish their business and you're next up in line. And as you step up, he says, "Hello and welcome to my frozen creams. How can I help you?"
Hello. What flavors do you have?
Vanilla, chocolate, honey lemon, coffee, strawberry, mixed berry.
All right. Dato, and then he will tell her those flavors.
Okay.
In Dwarvish.
The Dwarvish word for honey lemon doesn't seem to translate very well, and she says,
Right. She's like, "What the hell's that?" Yeah.
What is honey lemon?
It's a fruit. How do I explain honey lemon?
Is it good? Do you recommend it?
I've never tried it. Let's try it.
Okay.
2 honey lemons, please.
Right, do you want the classic, wooden bowl, or do you want the cold stone bowl? I need the stone bowls back. Or I'll have to charge you an extra silver if I find you again.
let's go with the stone bowl, and we'll just sit here on a park bench and eat ice cream and give you your bowls back.
All right, 2 silver, please.
Um, Milos will pay for the ice cream in part because he has silver coins.
Right.
And he doesn't think that Dato has silver coins because
She has 20 platinum.
20 platinum. It's just
That's true.
So
You are given 2 large, very cold stone bowls full of honey lemon frozen cream, each of which is supplied with a wooden spoon.
okay. Milos has never eaten honey lemon frozen cream, so this is going to be an adventure for him too.
Okay.
And they go and he goes and just like finds a park bench with no one else on it that's nearby it.
It is.
Assuming that exists.
Oh yeah, East Park is a park, and there are
Yeah.
benches. There are also adventurer camps set up in the East Park, but
Right.
you find a secluded place to sit down and,
Yeah.
and relax. And as you start to eat the frozen cream, honey lemon is mellow and smooth and sweet. And it tastes almost as a mixture of vanilla and hazelnut. It is delicious. And as Dato begins to eat it, you see that she's very properly, very much courtly graces, carefully eating tiny spoonfuls, and she says, "Oh, this is delicious. This is my favorite thing I've ever experienced lately."
I mean, I feel like you're getting a lot of new favorites, but this is really good. You're right.
The texture and the cold stone bowl keeps freezing the edges, and it almost gives it a hard crunch on the outer edges of the frozen cream, and it is fucking amazing. And
Great.
you gain 5 temporary hit points from your frozen cream.
Awesome. All right.
So, I wanted to ask, this academy, you're sending off that dress to your family back home.
Yeah.
I know why I've left my family, but why did you leave yours?
Well, the Xanatar. When I made the deal with the Xanatar, I didn't know how to control the power. I had made an agreement about how it should be used, but I didn't know what I was doing. And my son's mother was very concerned about what I'd done. I mean, we didn't know it was a Xanatar. We didn't know anything. I thought I'd made a deal with the mountain. I thought the mountain was talking to me. My parents had heard of the Marigard, which is an academy for training mercenaries, but everyone knows that there are magic teachers.
Well, you did speak with the mountain.
I did.
Well, okay.
I
As I've
spoke
said
with-
that aloud, that feels weird. Xanatar, I know this part. I know this one. Xanatars are the spirit of the earth. They are the world. It's to say the earth and the Xanatar are different is not true. So when you spoke with the mountain, you also spoke with the Xanatar. They're the same.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
I guess. But basically, my mother had some coins saved, and they got me passage across the world. It's pretty far from where I grew up. And you have to have 100 gold to sign up for the training.
She nods.
And when I got here, the thing is that I never did anything before that was for something more than just having a place to sleep at the end of the day, having a meal on the table, enough coin to do with. And it was like, I don't know, I guess it was like I changed the world a little bit. It got bigger. Like what happened for you? You come into a new place and it's like your eyes are open. You realize that there's more to what you could do than what you've done before. And I didn't want to go back. I want to learn to grow. So I signed up for the training, and I decided that I've already done so much more than I'd ever done before. And I've been in the training for not even that long.
I think I know why the Xanatar chose you, then. There's nothing more selfless than the Xanatar. You've heard the phrase, the earth gives.
When I made the bargain, it wasn't for me.
I think that's why it worked. I think that's why the Xanatar agreed.
I think you're right.
I think you're the first genuinely good person I've met in a really long time.
You keep saying stuff like that.
I grew up in a castle, made of stone, surrounded by people who only ever thought about their wants and their needs, and I was meant to eventually rule them, at least in a small amount, and I didn't want to, because I don't want to have anybody under my thumb. I never wanted that, but that was the life that was slaked out for me. And I see you here in this place where everyone is generous and kind. And I'm sure there are evils here as well, but they're nothing compared to the greedy appetites of the Tao. And I can say that freely now that I'm here. And that's something I could never have said back where I grew up. I'm not calling it home anymore because I don't want it to be. My uncle was truly a generous Tao, but he was rare. And he saw the mistreatment of my family. And he wanted to help me leave. So I think I need you to understand, when I say that you are selfless, I come from a place where I know very much the value of selflessness.
I guess I should just say thank you.
That is all you can say. Because anything else and I'll tell you you're a liar. Cat attack.
Thank you, I'm. Oh my god. Just suddenly reaching out and putting his paw on my face.
I have another question for you.
Oh, right.
I mean, we have a minute, and it's very nice here.
Sure, we have time.
Do you like the Merryguard, where you're studying?
Yeah, I mean, it's like nothing that I'd ever been or done before. It's one of the most, it has to be one of the most diverse places on the planet, just because people come from all over to learn here. There, here. It's right up there.
If I decided, look, I'm going to be honest with you. You're the only individual I know and truly trust here. And you go to the Merryguard Academy. I'd like to learn common. I'd like to see the world. I'd like to understand how this place works. And if the Merryguard Academy can also teach me some other things, this seems of value to me. I've been thinking about it all day. The Merryguard Academy arranged for you to help smuggle me out of my home.
I mean, I guess technically they did that. I don't know. I mean, none of us knew that was what we were doing at the time, but it is what happened.
Would the Academy accept someone who doesn't speak common and someone who knows a bit of magic but doesn't know anything of your world?
Probably. I mean, we would have to ask Persh. But if it's what you want, I mean, I wouldn't want you to feel pressured into it, because it does. I mean, it is what you're training to become is a mercenary. I mean, you kill for money. I mean, you don't always kill, and you don't need the money, but the training is real. And I strongly suspect that one of the things that they could train you to do is speak common. I mean, it's gonna be probably the easiest thing for them to teach you, actually, since.
Well, you say it's called the Merigard Academy, yes? It's a school.
Yeah, it's a school.
I don't see.
You don't have to become a contractor when you're done. Lots of people, I guess, don't go off and do something else.
Okay. Look at it from where I'm at, because I don't know what else I could do. I mean, I don't speak the language, so unless I find another community of people like me who speak Dwarvish, and she says a word in Primordial, which you don't understand.
Right.
I don't see any other options, really. Unless there's someone who can speak... Do you speak Celestial?
No.
She says another word you don't understand in a very melodic tone.
Common, Dwarvish, Giant, and Undercommon.
Well, it turns out those...
Bunch of languages that do not...
Dato speaks Dwarvish, Primordial, and Celestial.
Heimdall, no.
She says, I think my best course of action is to put some of this platinum to use and sign up for the Merigard Academy, because you're doing that. I want to be near you, at least until I get my feet on the ground, and you're... I don't know you well, but I trust you. I think of you as a friend. You've already helped me so much, so...
I think it's a reasonable choice. It's a reasonable option. I just... I just don't want you to go from one box into another box, that's all. But if you feel... But it feels like a reasonable option. I do think they could help you learn. Find a new place to be.
Perhaps my earth magic will be of use to them.
I suspect so.
Okay.
And
then I'm going to.
All right.
But first, I want to sleep at a tavern. I've read about that a lot.
We can make
usually with someone accompanying, but I just want to try sleeping in the bed on my own.
All right. I'm gonna go to the post office, and then we can have dinner. I guess it's almost dinner time. I don't know what time it is.
Yeah, it's early evening.
We can have dinner at the Merigard.
Wait. We're not going the Merigard?
So there's a tavern called the Merigard that is near the Merigard because taverns like to be puns.
Okay. She doesn't laugh.
Milos does. But the food is good, and I know they have beds. So
okay, perfect. All right, so what's a post office?
The post office is where you go to send messages and packages.
Oh, that's how you're going to send your dress. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm with you. And
All
she
right.
stands up. And
Milos will return the bowls to the quote-unquote Dragonborn.
Thank you.
Very good frozen cream, thank you.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And then he's gonna start moseying back up the street towards the post office.
Okay, the post and parcel.
Post and parcel.
Sorry,
I forgot the name of the post office.
It's okay. I've just told it to you.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll
you told it
D8.
to me before, but it was several episodes ago.
It's fine.
Sorry, what am I rolling? D8?
Yes.
Okay.
There is no random encounter as you approach the post and parcel.
Amazing.
The
Okay.
post and parcel is a large wooden building, and as you enter, you've been here before.
Mhm.
You know how it
Dato
works.
is not.
Uh,
Yeah.
Data looks around and at the business in here, and she is confused, and she says, "Why are there birds?"
There's a. They have to go a long way, and if they're gonna carry a package,
Do they eat?
you'll see.
Okay, I'll
You'll
stop.
see.
She waits.
So Milos is gonna write a letter to his mother to
Okay.
go with the package, and it's gonna be a pretty short letter. And it goes basically, Mum, enclosed, please find a mind-boggling treasure that I have encountered in my adventures. It was a gift from a person you would not believe, but I think that you and Dad could probably retire with this. Please send my love to everyone, Milos. And then he's going to take the letter, and now I recall from the last time we were here, they had stuff where you could package stuff up here.
Yeah.
And so Milos is going to find basically enough packaging material to wrap up the folded gown.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Simple enough.
And he kind of double wraps it, like, obsessively, like he doesn't even, like, he struggles to even understand the value of this package. So he's being very paranoid and, like, trying to make sure it looks as secure as possible before he even brings it up to the counter.
Sure. At the counter, the teller looks at your package and says, "Hey, you went over the top with this one, eh?
A bit, yeah.
Where's it going?"
And Milos will give the address of his mother. Back on where'd it go?
Feedy.
It's on Feedy, but I was looking for the name of the
Okay.
town, which I totally know, but I've hidden it from myself. Somewhere. No! Where'd it go? I have too many things written down. Anyway, I guess it doesn't. Anyway, it's on Feedy.
Okay. Is it Lochen Helheim?
Yeah, that was what I was.
Okay.
That was what I was looking for.
All
Fuck.
right.
Sorry.
All good. You get this package addressed along with the letter, and the teller looks at the size of the package and weighs it, and he looks at you and says, "All right, this is going to be a bit of a penny to get across the ocean."
Yeah. How secure is this? Like, birds aren't gonna drop it or anything, right? Like, how?
They're
I can't
magical
even-
birds. They're not. No, they don't drop anything.
This is so expensive. Is there an insurance I can buy? I mean,
If you're willing to wait, I can have it shipped instead of bird by airship the next time one goes out of Argo City. I believe that is scheduled for 1 week.
all right, that might. I might be a little more comfortable with that. I can't even explain how this is worth more than I am.
Okay. Well, for 20 gold, I can secure your cargo aboard the next shipment.
All right.
And he pulls out a manifest and says, "The airship is always scheduled to travel from Argo City to Priscillus, where it will then be routed to wherever it is that it's going.
Right.
Does this seem appropriate to you?"
Milo's gonna stand there and thinks about it for a second. It's like,
Are you,
well,
are you looking for an assurance that it won't be stolen or damaged?
right.
I don't have any way to do that aside from telling you. They are aboard an airship, which is not likely to be intercepted. Birds have been known in the past to occasionally be captured by a greedy individual. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. The airship, however, will have the defenses of cannon,
An
armament,
airship, right.
and the Aurelian Guard. So,
I think I'll pay for the secure
okay.
transport.
So that's an additional 20
I've
golds.
never paid for anything like that before, but I've never shipped anything this valuable, so I think this is smart.
Fair enough. For 20 gold, you are buying basically a spot in the boxes on an airship. So the original cost is 3 gold to transport a package. The 20 gold air shipping cost 23 gold pieces, please.
All right, I will pay that. Milos goes through his pouch, realizes he does not have that much on him because he doesn't carry more than 20 gold at a time, and then asks Dato if he can borrow 3 golds.
How much is it? She asks.
It's 23 gold, and I have 20 gold.
She puts a platinum on the counter.
All right. So he's going to take that platinum, the other platinum she gave him, and 3 additional gold and put them on the counter.
The teller takes the coin, makes a note, holds it a parchment for you to sign, saying it's from you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then you watch as he picks up your package, and instead of bringing it to a bird, he kneels down, and there is basically a big lockbox underneath those stables, and he puts it in there and says, "It is due to ship out next week."
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry for being...
If this is your
paranoid.
first time shipping a valuable item, I understand. It's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you for using the post and parcel. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, thank you. It's very helpful.
Have a pleasant evening.
Yeah, let's... I think I'm gonna buy a beer. Let's go.
As you're leaving, Dato says, "I don't mean to push, but you..." She, holds out her hands and says, "Maybe a little bit of selfishness might be good in your favor."
Let's just starts to laugh. I'm working on it, all right? God.
Let me buy dinner, okay?
All right.
I did just come into quite a bit of money.
You did. I'm warning you, I am gonna need some beer.
That's fine. What's
All
beer?
right, let's go. Do you know what alcohol is?
She rolls the dwarvish word around and she says, "I don't know. Maybe?"
Let's find out.
She follows you to the Merry Guard. As you get into the Merry Guard, it is busy. It is dinner time. One moment here.
And do I see anyone else I know in this pub?
That is entirely possible. Roll me a D4. Okay, roll me a D12. He's hard to miss. As you enter the tavern, you see a tall Goliath, wearing casual clothes, but you recognize Stoic.
Milos waves at him as he is leading Dato to... Well, he's trying to find a table. He said it's busy. I'm sure there's tables somewhere.
You notice that Stoic is sitting with someone. Hold on a second. Roll me another D12.
Okay.
See who he's with. Huh. You didn't see her immediately, but he's sitting at a table. He has a large tankard, and next to him you recognize Taunus, the Dark Elf Artificer.
Right. It's been a minute, but I remember her.
Yes,
She got to be traumatized by a scarecrow with me.
it's true. She is wearing casual clothes for her, which are still finery. But I will pull their tokens out as you and Dato enter the room. Stoic waves you over, and Taunus is with him, and she looks up at you. Why is his frame different? I guess it doesn't matter. Thank you, Tokenizer. As you are kind of beckoned over to them, Stoic says, Milos, it has been too long, eh?
It
You
has
read
been
me-
a while.
You read any unfortunate words lately?
Thankfully not. I'm going to introduce you to my friend here. Her name is Dato. She does not speak common, so I'm playing translator a little bit.
Conveniently, Taunus and Stoic both speak Dwarvish. So Stoic says, "Oh, what language does she speak?"
I've been using Dwarvish, says Milos as they approach the table.
Almost in unison, both Stoic and Taunus both say, "I speak Dwarvish."
Oh, that's great, because I was going to start drinking beer, and who knows what I was going to start saying. Dato, these are my friends. This is Stoic. This is Taunus.
Taunus has stood up as you are approaching, and Taunus, standing proud and tall, looks at Dato, who's also standing proud and tall, and Taunus says in Dwarvish, "I would recognize the graces of a noble anywhere, and it is a pleasure to meet you." And Dato says, "Oh, well, that's a flavor I wasn't expecting. But yes, it's a pleasure to meet you too. Thank you." And Taunus just kind of smirks. Honestly, I could do with some more courtly graces around here, she says as she kind of glances at Stoic. And Stoic says, "I did say I could speak Dwarvish just fine. I understand you." And Taunus says, I know." And she sits back down.
Milos says, "Yeah, I think she would have felt it wasted if you hadn't understood it."
He knows exactly what I'm talking about. And Stoic says, "Oh, well, fuck me, I guess." And he takes a big drink. Taunus says, "Not my type, unfortunately." And there is just, like, a moment of daggers stared between the two of them before they both laugh, and Taunus takes a drink of her own. And as you and Dato sit down, a waiter approaches. Roll, see which one. Okay. A tiefling steps up to the table and says, "Welcome to the Merry Guard, where it is your duty to be merry. How can I help you?" And Dato says, "I don't know what he said."
He asked how he could help us. And then Milos says in common, "I think that a menu would be good. She's never been here before."
Of course. And he sets the two menus down on the table, which I will pull up if you'd like to see the menu again.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
Okay.
I mean, I have a feeling I know what Milos is gonna do, but he's gotta see, there's a whole world for Dato to explore here. So.
It's true. Oh, hold on a minute.
And then an orange leaps onto the table. Okay.
An orange.
Shoot.
Okay. One moment, please. I have to get these
It's okay.
uploaded to this page.
They're not usually in this game.
No. Hold on. Image, create new page, pick it up, select file. Hold on. All right. Hold on. I'm actually going to pause as the waiter hands you the drink menu and then also the foods menu. Dato looks at them and she frowns and she says, I really need to learn this language. It's everywhere here.
We'll get there. But in the meantime, he starts just going down the menu and translating things.
Okay.
He's and then he pauses and he goes, "Or you could just eat what I eat, and then you don't have to figure it out."
As she listens to you, she says, "Jade Respite Stout has the word jade in it, and I like that, so I'd like to try that."
All right.
And then, what is turkey?
It's a bird. It's a bird that in this case has been roasted.
I don't think I've ever had bird. I
That
think
makes
I'd
sense.
like.
There's not really sky where you're from.
No, I think I'd
Although I
like.
don't think turkeys can fly. Can turkeys fly? I don't think turkeys can fly.
Stoic says, "No, at least not for very long. If you throw them high enough, you know." I've never tried, but one imagines. She, Dato looks up at Stoic and says, "Do you need to throw a bird for it to fly? I thought they could just do that."
I think he was joking.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, yes. I would like the herb, what you said, the herb crust turkey. I'll try that. That sounds exciting.
All right, so he will help her order the Jade Respite Stout and the herb crusted turkey.
Okay.
And he will get the pan fried steak and baby artichoke. He'll also get the baby artichokes for the table because he assumes that everyone wants baby artichokes always.
Okay.
Or maybe that's me assuming that.
That's
and then,
fair.
And he's gonna get the Celestial Baboon Stout because it has a funny name and he wants beer.
It does have a funny name. Your order is taken, and the total comes to about a gold. And before you can pay it,
no, he did agree to let her buy dinner, so he's not gonna argue with her about.
as Dato reaches into her bag, she says, "Did anybody else want anything extra?" And Stoic says, "Oh, if you're buying, yeah, I'll have some potato wedges." And Tanis just shakes her head and says, "Thank you kindly." The waiter takes the additional order of potato wedges and breaks a coin for Dato because Dato gives him a platinum. And the waiter says, "Oh, hold on, I don't have that much." And he goes back to the bartender, gets the change.
Yeah,
And
I think you're gonna run into that a lot. It's customary if the service is good to leave a gratuity, but you can decide that how much you want to do, whatever you want to do.
okay, we can do that. We'll see. You said if the service is good. Does that mean what is his services?
When they bring you the food and stuff, if nobody spits in it.
Does that happen a lot?
Not if you're not rude.
Oh. Well, I don't even. I can't understand him, so I don't think I'll be rude.
I'm sorry. I guess I'm not actually that helpful.
You're doing great.
How do you decide if service is good or bad? He asks Stoic and Tanis.
Stoic says, "If the hot foods are hot, the cold foods are cold, the drinks are refilled quickly. That's where I draw the line." And Tanis says, "That, and also if the staff is polite and courteous." And Stoic says, "Who cares about that?"
I usually just tip if nobody's spat in it. If I
How do you tell?
If you can tell if there's like gross. If you look at it, looks like somebody spat in it.
Okay, I suppose I should have expected that answer.
Honestly, those people don't make enough money. I just kind of think of it as part of the cost, of going out. You can't
Dato,
afford a tip. What are you doing in the restaurant?
Dato says, it does seem like money doesn't get around very well around here.
Yeah.
Thomas
I mean,
kind of raises an eyebrow and says, that's a unique tank.
well, where she's from, they have a lot more wealth than we do.
Thomas leans over with her fingers on her chin, and she says, where is that exactly? One who doesn't speak common. And Dato kind of looks at Thomas, and I'm going to make a decision by rolling. Dato says, oh, I'm from out of town. Really far out of town.
Milos is going to take his cue from Dato and not immediately reveal where she came from.
You roll me an insight check.
Okay. Oh, yeah, he has no idea.
Yeah.
He's really looking forward to that beer.
Yeah, no kidding. It doesn't take long before the drinks are brought. But Taunus seems to be pretty closely inspecting Dato. And Dato has the posture of one who is guarded. Which, this is the first time you've seen her that way, since you pulled her out of a bottle. The drinks are set down in front of you and Dato looks at it, and she smells it, and she says, oh, it's bubbly.
Right, that's the foam.
So she just picks it up and takes
Taste
a sip.
it. Don't drink it too fast. Oh, you won't drink it too fast. You're very ladylike. It's got alcohol in it.
As she sips it, and she sets it back down, she kind of smacks her lips and she says, oh, I know what this is. It's fire water.
All right. Is it?
Well, that's what we called it home.
I think of that. Huh. All right. That's interesting. Fire water. He takes a long pull of his beer. He's just so ready to be drinking.
Yeah.
He's had a few, subjective time, objective time. He's had an interesting time.
He certainly has. It's been a long day for Milos. And you don't have class tomorrow, so you might as well relax a little bit. As today's Friday. Dato drinks the fire water. It doesn't look as though she's reserved as if she just likes the taste. It looks as though she's reserved as this is how a nobility drinks. Even though she's clearly trying to shake a lot of those mannerisms, some things just don't go away.
Infiltrated, yeah. Plus, she's got Taunus there sort of reinforcing the status thing.
But conversations do continue, and all in Dwarvish, where Taunus discusses the sorts of things that she's had to handle with the Artificers class lately. And Stoic complains of being afraid of nightmares of fiendish individuals creeping up again.
After Milos finishes his first beer, he decides it's a good idea for some reason to tell Stoic the tale of the horrifying scarecrow.
Stoic listens intently and he says, oh gods, okay. How did...
But I think it's fixed now.
I fucking hope so. And next to you, Dato says, what's a scarecrow?
Well, ordinarily it's not like that. Ordinarily it's just something there to keep birds from eating your corn.
Oh,
You're about to ask me what corn is, aren't you?
No, I've heard of corn. It's a delicacy, but crows, they're... Okay. It's literally named Scarecrow because it scares crows.
Farming isn't the most imaginative profession.
Okay. I mean,
Basically,
I can think of worse names like Bird Intimidator.
Bird Intimidator seems like it would be an interesting job title. The Scarecrow, it's literally just there to make it look like there's someone on the field that would chase the birds away.
Oh, it's shaped like a person.
So that the birds think, oh, there's a person there, we won't eat that.
Oh, so
field.
when
We'll
it
go
was
to some other-"
moving, when it was moving and it attacked you, that was quite frightening.
Right.
Okay.
Like
I
if
understand.
if that fucking chair over there.
Well, it doesn't look
suddenly
like a
got up-
person.
No, you're right.
I mean, that would be weird, but I just assumed someone was.
It would, right. I don't have, like, if a mannequin. No, you went shopping for the first time today. All right.
Those were mannequins, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so if one of them moved when I was taking clothes off of it, that would have
Right.
been awful, and I would have likely
Right.
yelped. Very
Right.
loud.
Right. Just like that.
Okay.
Like
I
it
can
was
see
a
why it
scare.
was so scary, yes. So it was a scare Milos.
It definitely scared Milos.
Dato kind of smirks at her own silly joke as she drinks more of the
Milos
rest
is
of the ale.
absolutely laughing at the joke. He's laughing a lot, actually. He's pretty loose. Even it's only been one beer, but he's sort of given himself
Sure.
permission to be loose.
Refills are brought, and also, so is food. And your food looks delicious. The artichokes in particular, they smell very sweet, and they're neatly placed out on the plate with about 10 of them, so anybody can grab one if they'd like. And Stoic has brought his own plate of potato wedges that he is very delighted about. As you all eat and enjoy the dinner, Dato eats everything with relishment. It seems as though these are not the sorts of things she would eat when she was back on the Earth plane, and as she eats it...
Milos eats kind of like a starving man. Like, he's not actually starving. First of all, he had ice cream, like, an hour and a half ago. But also, his body isn't as hungry as his brain thinks it should be after the amount of time that he was
Yeah.
disconnected from it. But his brain thinks he should be starving. And so
Yeah.
he's like, wow, wow, wow.
Dato is very properly, like, samples everything, sets it down, lets herself enjoy it, and then she says, after everything I've seen today, being outside, the air, the grass, all the people, those nice dwarves, the food in this place is my favorite thing.
I think I agree with you.
And she continues to eat very daintily, but she does eat all of the food. It's just a process. And while she's eating it, Taunus is, like, amusedly watching her and taking notes, it seems like. And finally, Taunus, after Dato has eaten quite a bit of the food and has slowed down a bit, Taunus asks, so, Dato, I must ask, to what family are you named after? And Dato looks up at Taunus and she says, my surname is Offhander. Taunus kind of furrows her brow. I'm going to roll a history check for Taunus. I'm not quite familiar with that noble home. I have heard of some noble genasi, but they've always taken the names of something Terran, as it were. And they're usually from around Eastern Aurelia. Is that where you hail? And Dato, without missing a beat and perhaps loosened a little bit by the ale, she says, I don't know what that is. And Taunus just blinks. Okay. Well, I don't know how to handle that little piece of information, so I suppose perhaps if we get to know each other better, you'll fulfill my curiosity, because I am so very curious. And Dato says, curiosity kills the something. Cow?
Cats.
Cat. Oh, I like cats. We used to have many of them.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They were...
Well, that makes sense, actually. You would... Because cats eat rats, and rats don't care if there's a...
Exactly.
Right.
She kind of smirks and drinks more ale, and she says, I'd like another of these.
Me too. More ale.
And mockingly Dato goes, more ale! In Dwarvish as she shouts it. And Stoic says, that is the spirit! More ale! And the waiter is like, I'm coming!
And Milos says, Dato was talking about joining the Merigard, and I think that you will find that there's several folks around the Merigard that may not be excited about talking about home. So, you won't find yourself in bad company there.
Dato says, oh, good. And you, like, taking the hint, Tana's just kind of... and picks up her glass of wine and drinks more of it. As that conversation happens, roll me a perception check. The bard instructor enters the tavern. Tally Soothsinger makes her way up toward the stage, and suddenly her voice projected over the entire tavern. She says, I'm Tally Soothsinger, and this is my set. Have fun or go fuck yourself. And she immediately starts to play music.
Oh, that's
Dato
delightful.
says, that was loud. What did she say? And then she starts playing music, and Dato says, oh! And as you spend some time in the tavern, having a good time for the evening, introducing Dato to the pleasures of the merry guard, eventually, towards the end of the night, as music is being played, it is time to go to bed. And as Dato purchases a room in the inn for herself through your guidance, as the bartender is very much like, you don't speak a lick of common?
Right.
Hold on. We're all Hearst! And, like, the dwarven barmaid comes over, and basically, like, Dato's gonna be here longer than you are, so...
Right.
The
Absolutely
waiter says,
makes sense.
I can help out, no problem. A room is purchased. And before going upstairs, Dato looks at you, Milos, and she says, I really can't thank you enough. I know I keep trying, and you keep telling me no, but... thank you. And she kisses you on the cheek.
You're welcome. And welcome to the world. And I'll see you soon.
You're coming back tomorrow, right?
Sure. Might not be till after lunch. I've had a lot of beer.
That's
What?
fair. What time is lunch around here?
Noonish?
Okay. Well, I'll see you then.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Maybe we can find me a place to stay that isn't just a tavern, but I'm real excited about this. And she hurries up the stairs.
Milos kind of stands there for a moment, rubs his head like... All right, time to go home.
And as you make your way back toward the Merigard, a little bit drunk,
A little bit drunk.
that is where we call it the session for tonight.
All right. That was a lot of fun.
I'm glad you had a good time. Thank you for playing with me, and I look forward to next week. And to all who were watching or listening, thank you. We love you. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.